Board for this Wednesday, May 17th, 2017. Could we have roll call, please?
Bow.
Here.
Crawford. McFarland.
Here.
Nordentoff. Paff.
Here.
Pasak.
Here.
And Sula.
Present. We do have a quorum. If everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda is an opportunity for public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone from the general public that wishes to make a comment or ask a question about something that is not on the agenda. And the chair recognizes the arrival of Mr. Nordentoff. I'll close the floor to the public comment. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our meeting that was held on March 15th. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding said minutes? If not, a motion to approve would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Paff, second by Mr. McFarland. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is it's a continued public hearing. It's for a special use permit at 4145 Grove Avenue.
Yashper Mehta is seeking the following: a special use permit to allow the development and operation of a car wash, and a special use permit to allow a drive-through facility without a required bailout lane. The subject property is zoned C2 PUD Community Commercial as a planned unit development and is located at 4145 Grove Avenue on the southwest corner of Grove Avenue and Delaney Road. As with all special use permit petitions, the Planning and Zoning Board will make a recommendation that will be forwarded to the Village Board for their determination. The petitioner and his representatives are in attendance to present their plans and answer any questions the board may have.
Okay, thank you, Clara. As this item is a public hearing, I would request that anyone from the petitioner or members of the general public who intend to either give testimony or ask questions or make comments about this particular item to please stand to be sworn in by the village attorney.
Please stand and raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You may be seated.
Okay, this time I'll turn the floor over to the petitioner, and here's a microphone because the meetings are recorded. If you could just, as you get up and make testimony, just please state your name and address for the records. Thank you.
My name is Lee Austin. I'm the civil engineer for the car wash project, and addressed to 14925 King Drive, Libertyville.
Thank you.
We're here tonight to talk about the granting of a special use for the car wash. And in doing this, we've come up with a basic preliminary site plan for the car wash. And I have some copies. Mark, could you hand those out, please? Just so you got something closer to look at. Trying to see across the room.
Is this different from what we were?
No, it's the same.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
Okay. Thank you.
The only thing that's on there is there's some highlights of arrows so you can see traffic flows.
Okay.
By ordinances of the village, special use is required to have a car wash within the village. And some of the points that, for justification for the proposed request for action, basically, we're looking at a facility. It's an automated car wash, and it's a type of business. It's fitting well to the businesses that are there. Businesses, there's commercial businesses, there's drive-through businesses, fast food restaurants, there's the other manufacturing type businesses or small office businesses in the area too, and this sits basically between all of those. The traffic flow is fine for what's out here. The patrons are basically the same patrons you're going to get for the surrounding area, whether they work in the manufacturing areas or the offices or going to the shopping center or the fast food restaurants. You're seeing the same type of patrons. So we're not getting this great influx of more people. We're going to use those people that are coming there. And frankly, we hope there are more people, but it does work with the peaks that are there. So the peak hour traffics, you're not going to find a conflict in the peak hour traffic for the smaller businesses, the manufacturing and offices businesses. The hours are a little bit different. When you look at what those people are doing, going to work in the morning, coming home at night. At night, they may stop by and get a car wash, but you're not going to see a great influx, that's going to jam up the whole area or anything like that. So we feel that this is very compatible with the area, and that it can work very well for that area. The next point, the special use cannot be injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property immediately in the vicinity. And as I just said, it's zoned properly for the car wash. It just needs a special use for that. And as I said, it is compatible with the other uses in the area, having other drive-through type businesses and small businesses. This facility, what it's set up to do is allow people to pay for their car washes. There's 3 different ways you can do this. You can become a person that has paid ahead of time, and you use the outer lane for that. So those people just drive up, they're queued into line from that. The center lane is for people who are paying with a credit card, and the other lane that's close to the building are people that may be paying with cash or haven't been there before that want to know something about what's going on. So you have a very good flow of traffic. The idea of this is that each person, when they pay, then they're queued into the line to go ahead, and then they proceed to the car wash. So it's very important that they keep them in the order they're in, because somebody could pay for the highest end car wash, and if somebody squeezes in front of them, they may be paid for the lowest end car wash. So it's set up, and they're these car washes, they've been doing these for quite a while now. And Jeff, how long have you been doing these?
42 years.
42, yeah. So that's a while. So really, it's a system that they worked out that works very well to keep things moving along. The properties that are around the parcel, it's a normal and orderly development of surrounding property. This is really the last property in that corner. It's not going to impede other development. It's not going to impede what's there right now. As I said, we feel that it works very well. It's compatible with what's there today. So when you look at this, and you'll see that there's one entrance to this. It's off from Grove. People drive in, and off from Grove, drive in, and then go to the car wash, and there's plenty of room for stacking. You're never going to have a problem with cars backing up into the street. If we got that many cars, I don't know where they all came from, but you've got a lot of room in here to do this. Once the cars are in the line, paid for their service, and run through the car wash, then they're directed back to the drying areas and the vacuum areas. So you have vacuums, you have trash receptacles, all within this area, so people can take care of cleaning up the rest of their car, and then they proceed out from that point. And I know that first I want to deal with just the special use of the car wash. We'll get to unless you want to deal with the bypass lane too, but I thought we should just deal with the car wash.
I would prefer that you cover everything, and then
Okay, all right, very good. All right. So with that operation, the single flow through the car wash, back to the drying areas, and back out to the street. And once again, it's not bothering traffic on Delaney for sure, not bothering traffic on Grove, because this area is the businesses type traffic. You do have the fast food restaurant across the street, and their driveway is a little offset from there too, so it really doesn't bother that one either. There is a cross-access agreement that will be granted all the way through for the property to the south, so a garbage truck can go through there and pick up their waste also. The property that's immediately to the west is a small, I guess they're manufacturing or repair type business. They have a drive. They already had cross-access agreement from this driveway in. The new driveway is going to be slightly widened, still can be compatible with what the ordinances require. Will not exceed the size of those driveways that is required. As far as being in tuned with the ordinances. We meet all the setback requirements. Landscaping will meet all the requirements. There was a preliminary plan turned in we got comments on, and we'll have a final plan, of course, from a landscaper to do that. The stormwater control, we're going to be slightly over the percentage of what is allowed, but we're going to buy the credits for that slight over percentage, which is according to the ordinances also. Lighting will be set up such that it meets all the ordinance requirements. At nighttime, you'll go down to one light pole on, so you're not blaring light out at night when nobody's there. And this operation does, anytime it's in operation, there are attendants on duty. It's not a free flow thing. It's got to be somebody there all the time when it's operating. And I don't know your operating hours exactly. You're through what? Louis, do you know how late you would operate? Okay, all right. So basically, we're not a late night operation type stuff. As I said before, you have litter control throughout. So you've got the receptacles by each one of the drying stations, a dumpster area where the people that are working here empty those receptacles into the dumpster area, so we don't have litter hanging out at night waiting to be blown away. The building design, as you can see from this, it looks like it belongs to the area. You know, it's nice looking, it's more modern looking, and up to date like the buildings that are around it. So I think that you'll be happy with seeing this along with the other buildings that are out here. It's not going to stick out like a sore thumb. It's going to blend in and look good. As far as utilities, all the utilities are present within the area, and we shouldn't have any problem. Sizing of utilities is no problem at all for this. The other thing that we wanted to talk about, of course, is the pass-through lane. Typically, I think the way your ordinance is set up, you look at a pass-through lane and say, if you've got 2 lanes of traffic here, you want a completely empty lane to the side of that. Much like a fast food restaurant would have, you got the one lane that goes to the window, and you got another lane that's maybe parking over there, but people can just go on by. Well, in this operation, to do that would be very difficult to add yet a 4th lane out here. But we do have, at this northern end, this is a pass-through, and it is an escape lane that goes off on the north end. This is widened out to 16 feet wide, and people can go past. Now, as I said, anytime this is in operation, there's an attendant on duty. So if there's a problem with a vehicle that gets caught, there's a problem with the car wash and you can't get in, there's not going to be a backup because the attendant on duty can raise the gates and allow people to go on through. So essentially, we have a pass-through lane. Is that that outer lane? Excuse me. That outer lane is for people that have paid monthly fees to do their car washes, so they know what's going on with this. And that gate can be easily raised, or if there's a jam in one of the other lanes, any one of these gates can be opened to allow people to pass through. Now, as far as the width of the pass-through lane, there was a comment before that zoning wanted a 24-foot lane, which I understand why they think it's got to be that wide. But our problem is that we've got to be able to control our traffic coming around the building. So, like I said before, so somebody doesn't sneak in front of somebody else or end up behind somebody else, is that you get the car wash you paid for. So when we asked for the special use, the variance for the special use for the pass-through lane, basically we do have a pass-through lane, and it's just operating a little differently than a total free flow pass-through lane, in that you have gates across here, but the gates are operated by the person that sits right in this area of the building, so they know what's going on at all times. They know what's going on inside the building and outside the building. I think that, there's another thing that there was a question asked before if this was compatible with the covenants of the business park. I checked with the business park. They sent me all the covenants of the business park. Those covenants do not apply to this lot or the lot that's here with the fast food restaurant on it. So there was not a problem with the covenants of the business park for these uses.
Okay. Any questions or comments by members of the Planning and Zoning Board? Mr. Pat?
Yeah, my only concern, overall, it looks like a good project. My only concern is the stacking. And the reason is I've been to some of these car washes. I saw one with 32 cars in line. I don't believe you have room for that. A good day, but if you could use all these lanes, it might work out. But the problem is you have 3 different uses for these lanes. So unless there happens to be an equal mix of all these uses, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have lanes that maybe have very few people in them, like the already paid lane. I don't know how that will work out, but you showing that you have 15, is that what it was?
Yeah, there's 15 that I showed stacking in that area, plus
But that again
essentially you have stacking around the building.
Right, you do have some stacking there. And I think the staff was saying, I think you have room for 22 total if you're within this easement or within the driveway, not out onto the street.
Right.
One of the things I saw while I was there is there are people passing through going to the restaurant down this alley here.
Yeah, and they will continue to do that, I'm sure. They'll
As
find
long
a
as
way
it doesn't
through.
back up into
There's enough for two lanes of traffic there. So
one
you're not
one each way.
one each way, yeah. And you know how people operate. If you're in my way, I pass you. That's kind of it.
Yeah. So my only concern is that with these 3 different types of lanes, that you're going to have some backup, possibly onto Grove Avenue.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me let Jeff talk about this. He's with Tommy Car Wash.
Jeff Meyer with Hoffman Services at 600 Northgate Parkway, Wheeling, Illinois. The idea of the 3 lanes in this, all 3 lanes can be cash, credit card, or what we call a fast pass. So you're not having to go to any one in particular. The very first one is actually an attendant in the building. So if you want to talk to a person, you can use that, but anybody could use any of the 3 lanes. The third lane is what we call an express lane, and if you have a monthly pass, that would be a faster way to go through. Though even those customers can use any of the other 2 lanes at any time.
But somebody wanting to pay with a credit card can use the 3rd lane? The fast
Yes.
Okay.
They're the same machines on lane 2 and 3, and at the window, the pay window, is actually a person in there, which they can pay any way they wish.
Well, so if people can use that 3rd lane, how does it end up being a fast pass lane or whatever?
Well, what we find is when you go to a car wash, you see some of these peak days. Those peak days are about 20 days out of the year. And normally in the wintertime, normally on a Saturday or Sunday is the 2 busiest days. On that particular time, it is still faster, but each one of those machines can produce about 50 cars per hour. So we can get the cars through in any lane. The attendant lane can actually do over 100 cars an hour by that one single person. So we could actually process the payments of 150 to 200 cars an hour. And it's not going to be a backup problem because everybody's going to know that it moves pretty quick. And the whole idea of the lane skinnying down here, the whole idea is once they do pay, it's in the computer, and we don't want them to get out of sequence because the computer knows where they're at. The gate will not open until that car passes from another lane. So we try to keep them all in queue that way. That's why it's important to keep them close together after they pass that gate.
So if somebody decides they don't want the car wash, they want to pass through, you have a way to allow for that? Because now
the attendant has control over all 3 gates. They can raise that gate. There is a doorway where that attendant can go out and see what the problem is with that customer, why they don't want to go through if they're not in the manual lane. If they're in one of the pay lanes, there's actually a doorway where they can come out and walk across to all 3 lanes.
So they actually have to come out there and speak?
They would have to come out and see what the problem is.
Okay.
But they can automatically raise any one of the 3 gates.
All right, that doesn't mess up your queue then?
No, because it wouldn't be in queue, they
be
wouldn't have
fun.
paid.
All right.
And that way, then they can exit through the escape lane right here.
Got it. All right.
The other thing with this, the way this is set up, that, you know, worry about getting too many cars in, you know, your traffic is going to basically come on Delaney, one way or the other. And they're going to be able to see if this is full. You know, I would say, I'll come back later. You know, most people will do that. If you see these 15 cars are all full in here, not likely you're going to venture in unless you know the operation well, you know how quickly it goes. So I don't think you're going to see the backups going to get too far out here. You might, at some time, you probably will have some that come down in here, but getting back into this lane, I don't think you're going to find cars backing up into that area.
Anything else, Mr. Pat?
No, that's it for me.
Mr. McFarland?
I just want to follow up and clarify one point. I follow your release process, but out of the 3 lanes, then they are released one at a time so that when they're released, they go into the wash.
No, once they pass this point here, they're actually stacked up in this curve here. So you've got probably 4 cars stacked up,
Okay.
waiting to go in.
That was my point. Because
So if that person in the center lane wants out, they will have to wait until those 3 cars ahead of him leave.
Actually, you got enough width here.
Yeah, but that's not how it would work. That was my question. Because people don't stay in their lane when they're driving down the street, they drive down the middle. So people are going to naturally take up the middle of the lane. You're not going to be able to get by. So you just have to wait. That was my question.
I think what you're going to find is that the person that wants to get through, it's not because they got all the way up here and they're tired of waiting. I think they got up there and went, oh, I forgot my credit card.
Yeah.
You know, that's gonna
Whatever
be
reason.
Yeah, and then the attendant can work with them and get them out. You know,
Usually it's you see the car in front, it can't get in, and so you're saying, you know, screw it, I'll go.
yeah.
In the locations we've got around the country, we see that happening about 1 car per day on an average.
Do you have a location in Waukegan?
Not in Waukegan.
Okay, because there's a similar setup over there that way.
That is similar to the one that
So
you're
it's
talking
not
about.
the same system, is it?
Whole different system there.
Okay, thank you.
We can actually, that's all auto cashiers, that's all manual. There's no person there to help at all. Here, we feel that it's still important to have that personal contact. Not everybody wants to talk to a machine. There's still some of us that like to talk to humans. I know you find that hard to believe. And what we do find is the
You
express...
can use your phone to talk instead of text?
We see people with the express passes or monthly passes. They're normally not our Saturday, Sunday customers.
Right.
They're normally through the middle of the week because they know on the weekends it is busier. And this being in a manufacturing area, the traffic is very minimal at that point on a Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. That's it, sir. That's all I have.
Brian, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just have one question concerning when vehicles exit the car wash. You kind of have like a sort of pork chop there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you have some arrows that seem to insinuate that the cars are supposed to almost make a U-turn as they leave the car wash. But it doesn't really seem like anything directs them that way. And
Well,
can they go out to that?
They could end up going out here, but if they're typically they're going to go to the drying stations and the vacuuming stations. So what this is for is just to visually take people to the right. That's all it's for. Because if they go to the left, they're going back to the car wash. So basically, this painted island just indicates you need to go to the right.
And then is staff, are you comfortable if people didn't make the U-turn and go through the lane for where the vacuums are and came out directly onto that alleyway, then there's a dumpster unit sitting there, which I'm assuming is going to be fenced.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be a total enclosure.
What's the field of vision going to be like trying to make that right turn there?
We'll make sure that that is good enough. I've got more room to move it back if I need to. Right now, it's close. We can push that back probably another 5 feet very easily. But a good question.
Not anything else.
How many vehicles per hour can the actual wash process?
The actual car wash equipment, we can get them clean, shiny, and dry at about 175 cars an hour, which is, I'd love to say we're going to do that every day, but that's not going to happen. We know with the 3 pay stations, we can process the payments of customers up to 200 cars an hour without any problem.
But the machine itself can't go that fast.
It can't go that fast and give a good quality wash. It is hydraulically driven. It is state-of-the-art. They're belts. They're not conveyors that are in here. It's probably the newest wash you probably haven't seen one around here. The whole idea is it is controllable in the speed per hour of how many cars.
Just personally, I'm not a fan of being a customer of a
Sure.
car wash that has 3 lanes. I'm not a fan of it because it seems to me I'm waiting in line longer.
What we find, you wait less.
Because the reality is those gates don't go up until the cars that paid before whatever lane you're in have advanced far enough so you can't cut in front of somebody else.
Correct.
So, I mean, there's...
Just so we don't have fist fights out in the driveway.
Exactly.
That's what the gates are designed for. You know, so you can't cut in front of somebody after you've paid.
Just from my own personal experience, because I've been to a Fuller's car wash
Yes.
that has a similar setup.
Similar setup, yes.
And I personally find it frustrating. I'm not buying into the concept that there really is a bailout lane, because the reality is the 3rd lane isn't going to be used by the monthly or the prepaid or the members only, because anybody's going to be able to use it. And one way to accomplish a real bailout lane would be to flip the car wash itself with the drying stations and have an out somewhere in the middle of the drying station, or the vacuum stations, I should say, not the drying stations. But I'm not sure what that does to your traffic patterns.
You're saying flipping this over to here?
Yeah, put the vacuum stations where the car wash is and the car wash where the vacuum station. Because then you can have a bailout lane through the drying station, through the vacuum station.
We did look at that, but it's the cross traffic you would have then, because you got the car wash operation that has to flow one way. You put the other people here, and now they've got to come through that car wash operation. That's the problem with that one.
And without seeing it on paper, it's hard to
Yeah,
visualize.
yeah.
And any other questions or comments, Mr. Nordentoff?
Yeah, I want to continue on with the traffic flow. You know, we have everything on paper, and everything works great when it's on paper, but you're directing everybody through the vacuum and drying section from south to north, assuming, of course, everybody wants to vacuum after they've had their car wash. And there's other facilities I've been to where you do that first. I often do the vacuuming first. I wash, then I'm gone, okay? So if you have someone that comes in this facility, follows your path, drives up into this area to vacuum, and then says, now it's time for me to wash, who's to say they're not going to back out and just drive south through that area and try to get into your queue? And if your queue is backed up all the way out of there to the alleyway, you got cars coming out of your car wash that need to get out, but now we have all this point of conflict down here. I just follow the human nature. What does the human want to do? He wants to take the path of least resistance, the shortest distance between 2 points kind of thing. So we can stripe it or whatever, but someone inevitably is going to back out and want to go your other direction. And so I see additional points of conflict.
That's true. Somebody will want to do that, and somebody will do that. It's like driving down the street.
Yeah.
You know, somebody is going to make a wrong turn, do something stupid going down the street too. You can't cure all that. You know, we've got an operation that works for, you know, it guides people. We can put other signage in that says this is one way, but once again, that same person is still going to do whatever they want to do. but it's the rare person that does that. Most people will follow signage, will follow arrows on the ground and stuff. And I understand, what you're saying. If they got in here vacuuming and said, okay, I'm going to sneak back into this, then you got the people that are waiting in line to get butted out of line.
There's your fist fight.
And this is wide enough, if that does happen, it's wide enough that somebody can back out and turn. It's the same as a parking lot, the space you have in here.
On those really busy days, there is normally at least 2 attendants, if not 3 attendants. A third attendant is for traffic control or fight control.
I hope you're that busy. I have business that good.
Any other questions from members of the board before I open the, go ahead.
So I just started thinking about this now because I'm looking at your proposed hours, which are 16 hours a day that it's going to be open. How many attendants are working at any particular time?
There's at least 2 people at any time.
And there's restroom facilities somewhere in this?
Yes. This is what we call the flight deck here. This is where the cashier is in this area. Your cars are coming through this way. This is a restroom right here. And the whole design of this is for that person to be able to control and see the whole lot and the whole car wash from this flight deck. They can see the cars going through. There's a doorway to assist them if they need to. There's a doorway outside to assist the customers outside if they need it. So it could be actually run by one person very easily.
So that person has to go to the bathroom or take a lunch break?
Well, that's why you have at least 2. And security reasons, we suggest 2.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open the floor to the public. If there's anyone from the public that cares to ask a question or make a comment, now would be the time. Okay, I'll close the floor to the public. Any additional questions or comments from members of the Planning and Zoning Board? Yes, Josh?
Just to follow up on what Brian said about the dumpster fence, how high is that fence going to be?
It'll be approximately 6 feet tall.
Okay. I mean, if it comes to the end of the property, was staff okay with the lines?
Well,
There's plenty of space. It can be shifted
yeah, it's
to
the way
the north.
Yeah,
That's not an issue.
Yeah, this is a preliminary plan for now, and you've got there's a lot of things we have to do to pass engineering and all this stuff.
Any other additional questions or comments? Okay, we have 2 things to make recommendation on this particular matter. One is whether or not to recommend the special use permit in the first place, and then there's a second one, and requires a separate motion, whether or not to allow a drive-through facility without a bailout lane. So any other discussion before we advance the motion? And in this case, we are recommending to the village board.
Mr. Chair?
Yes?
I guess my only comments would be to whatever motion is made to approve the car wash itself, the use, that we condition it upon having a minimum of 2 attendants on site at all times, and that there be a restriction that prohibits retail within the car wash. That's noted in the staff report on page 4.
Okay. Is the petitioner, are those 2 conditions acceptable?
There is no retail, though.
Okay.
Is vending machines acceptable?
Someone needs to use a microphone. Thank you.
I guess the question would be, there is no retail other than possibly some retail vending of towels or something like that, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the staff when they're talking about parking requirements and things like that for, more, I guess, a traditional retail area. I don't have an issue with vending machines.
Yeah, it wouldn't be open to customers walking in to purchase anything other than a car wash or car wash related towels or finishing products.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Brian, was that the start of a motion?
No.
Darn, it sounded like one. Okay.
Is there someone else?
Is there
inclined?
someone? Okay.
I'll
Okay,
make a
Ms.
motion that we have forward a favorable approval for a special use permit to allow the development and operation of a car wash at this location with the provision that they have a minimum of 2 attendants and no retail on site.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Josh. Any questions or comments on the motion? Could we have a roll call, please?
Bow,
Yes.
McFarland,
Yes.
Nordentoff,
Aye.
Paff,
Aye.
Pasak,
Aye.
and Sula.
Aye, motion carries. Now we need a second motion regarding whether or not to recommend a drive-through facility without a required bailout lane. Mr. Pasak?
Just a motion to submit a favorable recommendation to the board for a special use permit to allow the drive-through facility without a required bailout lane.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
I think I heard Mr. Paff first. Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Bow,
Yes.
McFarland,
Aye.
Nordentoff, Paff,
Aye.
Pasak,
Aye.
and Sula.
Nay. That motion carries. As you are aware, we are recommending body to the village board. Clara will let you know when the village board makes their final decision on the matter. Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is a continued public hearing for a special use permit for the property located at 1555 Nations Drive. Clara, do you have a staff report, please?
Yes. Harold C. Baker is seeking a special use permit to allow the development and operation of a daycare center at 1555 Nations Drive. The subject property is zoned C2 PUD, Community Commercial as a planned unit development. As you may recall, 1555 Nations Drive was subdivided into 2 similarly sized oblong parcels in 2016. The proposed daycare center would be located on the northern parcel. As with all special use permit petitions, the Planning and Zoning Board will make a recommendation that will be forwarded to the Village Board for their determination. The petitioner and his representatives are in attendance to present their plans and answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Clara. At this time, I would request anybody from the petitioner or members of the general public that intend to either give testimony, ask questions, make comments, to please stand and be sworn in by the village attorney.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You may be seated.
I'll turn the floor over to the petitioner, and I lost track of where the microphone is.
It's over here.
Okay.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Harold Baker. I am the architect of record for the Kitty Academy building that we are requesting a special use permit this evening. We have brought with us the civil engineer, the owner, and members from the Kitty Academy franchisor who can speak about the different operations and the different facilities that they have been involved with over the years and how this facility will run similarly. Is this the thing that, and you just press that to go to the next slide? Okay. We can talk a little bit about the operation and what Kitty Academy is about. They have more than 35 years of child care expertise. They started originally in 1981 to try to provide a better way to care for children and educate them, to build stronger communities, and it's something that they're very passionate about. They have a total of 185 units across the country in various locations, each owned by an individual franchisee. There are some actual company locations, but it's mostly a franchise operation. What I'd like to do is have Chris Camerata come up and talk a little bit about Kitty Academy and their philosophy and things.
Good evening, members of the board. Chris Camerata. I'm the Vice President of Construction for Kitty Academy Domestic Franchising. We franchise locations throughout the country, and as I mentioned earlier, we have 185, and actually it's going to be 186 on Monday. This will be a franchise location, franchise operator local to the area. We've got 13 operating Kitty Academies in the suburbs of Chicago, the closest being Arlington Heights. Kitty Academy operates between the hours of 6:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. This location will have approximately 159 children, and we will be licensed by the state Division of Child Care. We're very focused on educating the child. We have a curriculum that's based upon character education, physical attributes, what's the other, and mathematics that our educators follow. This location is very secure. Parents are required to drop off their children and bring them into the facility through a secured door. Each parent is given a code to access the building. The parent will actually escort the child to the classroom, drop it off. The child's then signed into the classroom by the teacher. The parent exits the building in the same manner, and pickup is done in much the same manner. Parent comes into the building, enters their code, goes to the classroom, picks up their child, escorts their child out of the building and back to the car. Our playgrounds are fenced in. No one can really access the building without having a code or being welcomed in by a director. All of our doors are panicked alarmed, so if a door were to open to the outside, the alarm would go off, and a teacher would recognize that the door has opened, and it may perhaps a child has opened it and needs to address it. We also have panic alarm gates on our fences around the playground that alert staff should a child open one of the gates. I'm happy to answer any questions as they come up.
Okay, any questions from members of the planning and zoning board? Right?
Is the franchisee here? Do you know who the franchisee is yet?
Yes, he's here. His name is Kamal Sinai. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Nordenthal.
My question revolves around the parking in the front and the landscape plan that was submitted. It looks as though we have 10 feet setback to the pavement on both the parking side and then the drive pass-through side. And I'm just wondering if you can address snow removal plan, because based on the landscaping that's proposed to be preserved and what's going to be added, it doesn't appear that there's a lot of options for your snow storage. So just wondering if you can address that.
Yes, good evening. My name is Todd Roberts with Merit Corp. I'm a civil engineer for the project. And, 10 foot isn't a real big area, but I think it's adequate for what we're going to be pushing through here from side to side. You can split half the snow on one side of the lot and the other half on the other. You also have, there's not a pointer with this, the front area out in, up in this area up here is all the green space as well that you can use to push some of the snow up onto as well. So we don't see it as being a problem.
Well, if you go to your landscape plan, you planted in those areas.
This is not cooperating. Going the wrong direction. Yeah. Do I need to point it at the machine or something? Okay. Not quick enough. Come on.
I mean, ultimately, what ends up
There we
happening is
go.
you just end up leaving.
Yeah, so up
parking
front in that
spaces.
area, they're just trees. You're not talking about a lot of shrubbery there. You've got the couple of trees in here, and these are trees along here, so you're just talking about the trunks of the trees are there. The shrubbery and stuff that you see around the front is up here in the front and around the building. So there's not a lot blocking what you can plow into for snow.
Okay. Mr. Pat?
Are you providing a preschool?
I'm sorry, can you repeat
Is there
that?
a preschool available, or?
I'll turn that over.
The age groups are infants to school age, 12 years old. The 12-year-old, the school age children are typically 5 to 12, and they're before and after care. So our primary focus is infants through preschool.
Right.
Any other questions from members of the board? At this time, I'm going to open up the floor to the public. If there's anyone from the public that would care to make a comment. There appear to be nobody. I will close the floor to the public. Close the floor to the public. Sorry about that. Additional questions, comments? Mr. McFarland.
Could you just do a quick review of the building materials?
Sure. The building right here, the front entry, is located right here. There are two doors that go into a locked vestibule, and that's where Chris said the parent comes in. There is a computer screen that they punch a code into. The interior door has what they call a mag lock on it, so it's secure. Once they punch the code in, then they can go through that door and into the interior.
What's the exterior? There's brick on the bottom. What's the
That is a stone. If you're familiar with the Culver's building that's nearby, it's a similar type of stone.
Is the white drive it or what?
Yeah, the white is drive it right here, and then the brick color is just a accent drive it, a cornice that sticks out from the building about 1 inch to 1.5 inches to add some accent to the building. So there's a cornice up at the very top that runs around the top of this, and then over the doors and windows we have the additional cornice that's a lintel over the windows.
Okay, it says that in the drawing.
That's okay.
I was
Sometimes I
struggling
make
with
mistakes.
The print. I reviewed it earlier, but I'm struggling with
That's
the
okay.
print, so I took the easy way out. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions I can answer on the exterior? Or?
So where is the HVAC equipment located?
The HVAC actually is cleverly hidden in a well that's right here. You basically can't see it.
So it's rooftop?
Yeah, what we do is we always put it up off the ground so it doesn't get tampered with by anybody. We've had them stolen before when they're on the ground. The other thing is it keeps it out of the area where any children would be, especially little fingers could get into the fan coils or into the fans, could be injured. Plus, it's a little more secure, and we think from a standpoint of aesthetics, hiding the HVAC equipment is something that's always desirable. So it's in a well. It's approximately 14 feet wide by about 70 feet long. It has 5 rooftop HVAC units, and they're fairly quiet. They're the newer energy-efficient ones, so you really can't even hear them on the roof when you're down in the playground area.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Thank you.
Thank you. On this particular item, we need one motion to whether or not to send a favorable recommendation to the village board. Mr. Nordentoff.
Sure. I move that we forward a favorable recommendation for a special use permit for the development and operation of a daycare center at 1555 Nations Drive.
We have a motion. We have a second by Mr. Pasak. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Baugh.
Yes.
McFarland.
Aye.
Nordentoff.
Aye.
Paff.
Aye.
Pasak.
Aye.
And Sula.
Aye, motion carries. As you've heard from the previous presentation, we are recommending body to the village board, and Clara will let you know when the village board will hear this particular matter. Good luck with the project. Thank you. I just lost my agenda. Okay, I got it. Okay, next item on the agenda is a public hearing for a zoning map amendment for 35735 North Delaney Road. Clara, if you have staff report, please.
Yeah. Loza Properties LLC is requesting a zoning map amendment to rezone 35735 North Delaney Road from GO General Office District in unincorporated Lake County to I-2 General Industrial District in the Village of Gurnee. The subject property is 2.28 acres and is designated as Industrial Office Research in the Village of Gurnee's Comprehensive Land Use Plan. As with all zoning map amendment petitions, the Planning and Zoning Board will make a recommendation that will be forwarded to the Village Board for their determination. Along with this request, the petitioner has submitted an annexation application, which will also go before the Village Board for approval. The petitioner and his representatives have been invited to present their petition and answer any questions the board may have.
Okay, thank you. As this item is a public hearing, I would request anyone that intends to give testimony or make comments to please stand and be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. Okay. Before I turn it over to the petitioner, just to be clear, our only purview here as a planning and zoning board is whether or not to recommend the rezoning. We are not at all involved in the annexation agreement, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. You may have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Helmut Peter with PRD Associates. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Loza Properties LLC. Principals of Loza Properties have also joined us to answer any questions you may have. We're not as high-tech as the previous petitioner, but I do have a little handout to give to everybody. It just gives you a little overview of the location of the property and the surrounding uses. And the zoning in the area. And while we believe that our proposal is consistent with the standards established by the ordinance and with the various surrounding it. Essentially, the property consists of about 2¼ acres. It's located on the east side of the Delaney Road. Between Porritt Drive, I believe it is, and Morrison. You can see on the air photo that I gave you. Property's approximately it's a long rectangular parcel, 145 feet in width, 686 feet in depth. Consists of 2.28 acres, which is net of the Delaney Road right-of-way, so it's net area. The surrounding land uses are all industrial. It consists of the Dynapar, which is a manufacturing facility to the north of the subject site, having frontage on Porter Drive. Nutrition First, which is a catering school catering service, which is also located to the north. Vantage, I believe, which is a chemical manufacturing facility. And then to the south are 2 vacant industrial buildings which are currently up on the market for sale. The surrounding, the zoning, this is the only parcel, basically unincorporated, and zoned GO, General Office in Lake County, surrounded by property under the jurisdiction of the Village of Gurnee, which is all zoned I-2. We are requesting I-2 zoning for this property, which is consistent with the surrounding zoning. It's consistent with the comprehensive plan of the Village of Gurnee, and we are proposing to develop a 10,000 square foot contractor's office, warehouse storage facility with both indoor and outdoor storage, which is, again, permitted use under the provisions of the I-2 district of the Gurnee zoning ordinance. We are not asking for any departures, variations, etc. We're basically willing to work with that under those guidelines. So in light of that, I believe that we do meet the criteria established for map amendment, and trust that you would recommend that to the village board as to rezone the property upon annexation.
Okay, so to summarize what I think I've heard is we have a piece of unincorporated property that's completely surrounded by village property that is all zoned I-2, and our comprehensive plan calls for this particular parcel to be I-2. Okay? Any discussion?
Can we just move to the motion?
Well, first I got to, okay. First I have to open the floor to the public. There is no public. Close the floor to the public. Now we can go to motion. Mr. Nordentoff.
I would be happy to advance a motion that we forward a favorable recommendation for the zoning map amendment at 35735 North Delaney to I-2, seeing that it does, in fact, meet the standards for map amendments.
It's a textbook match.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pasak. Roll call, please.
Bow.
Yes.
McFarland.
Aye.
Nordentoff.
Aye.
Path.
Aye.
Pasak.
Aye.
And Tula.
Aye, motion carries. As you know, we recommend to the village board, and Clara will let you know when the village board will hear this particular
Appreciate
matter.
it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next meeting on the calendar is scheduled for June 7th. Are we going to have a meeting?
I don't believe we have any items as of right now, but we will.
No public hearing items yet.
Yeah, no
Okay.
public hearing.
Okay, but we might have administrative things, so just watch your friendly mailbox. Okay. All right, motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.